All right, welcome back. Today we're gonna be fixing the rust hole where I wanna mount the fuel lines. I've already kind of drawn the line where I wanna cut out, so we're just gonna jump straight into that.
All right, so for now, this is kind of the area I came up with. It's a little hard to see on the bottom. The marker didn't really want to stick to the metal. I'm gonna have to get like a paint marker or something, but I'm gonna trace out a little better. Kind of hard to see, but it's gonna be like mostly just like a square, you can probably assume. But I'm probably gonna use a Dremel to cut this out. I'll try to record it. I do have an angle grinder, but I don't have the key to unlock the blades. It was kind of just given to me and I was not given the key, so unfortunately until I get that, I cannot use that. But Dremel will work fine. Honestly, the Dremel will probably be easier to get into some of these areas anyway. Might have to figure out, might have to take one of my brackets off so I can have these lines sag a little more, because I'm really not trying to cut through a brake line or one of these new lines I just put in, so we'll see what happens. I think I'm gonna start cutting this out. I'm gonna cut a little under the blue line because I actually want to leave more of this. It just looks like surface rust here. We'll find out when I cut it out, and then I might cut out this line from the inside just because I don't want to get too close to these lines, even though I'm not too worried about cutting them. Okay. All right, got our little area cut out. Oof. There is a bit of rust in the rail here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand this all out and then I'm gonna spray it all with undercoating. I'm gonna try to vacuum out what's in here as well. All right, so we got our plate made here. Sorry I didn't record it too much. Turns out it's very hard to record stuff with no tripod. So we'll be getting one of those soon. But pretty simple plate. Basically, I just measured probably I think it was 2.5 inches this way, and then I added another 1/4 inch for this flanged part, and then the hole from this side to this side, the width's 4 inches. I just left a bunch so I could trim it if I needed to, but it ended up fitting pretty much how I want it. Trimmed this little corner here to fit in better there. Now I gotta bend this part back this way. But these are the spots I think I want the holes. I'm just gonna put some rivets in it, I think. I did spray some undercoating, if you couldn't tell. Did that yesterday, let it dry. So, should be pretty protected. I did sand it down and everything too. This bracket, I didn't record me making that either because I had already did this. This was the first one I made. And I thought, might as well just use it. It's just a simple bolt nut. It's a nylock nut, shouldn't come out. I wanted to put this on first because once I put this on, I'll have no access to it because I don't have a tap and die set for tapping the aluminum plate. Getting the holes on the flange part is gonna be a little difficult, but I'll probably end up doing that first. I kind of want to do this hole first because it pokes out, because if I can do that hole, then kind of rivet it, I can bang it out to get the right shape. We'll see though, I'll let y'all know. Drilled out my plate a little bit. I don't think it's gonna be an issue with the rivet. I think I'm gonna put one rivet in here. I'm gonna spray a little bit of undercoating right here, and then just rivet this in place so I can kind of bend the other stuff around it. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little bit of a gap from where I cut. It was really hard to cut a straight with the Dremel, especially from my angle, but that'll be all right. I'm gonna seam seal it also, see what happens.
All right. So I think I'm gonna actually end up taking off this bracket for now because I realized with the lines there, it's gonna be impossible to get the rivets in. So we're gonna take it off and we will figure out how to get it mounted though. All right, so I just finished putting the rivets in. Not the prettiest by any means, but then I started thinking about how I'm gonna mount that bracket, and I just tried threading in like a regular 10mm bolt. It sort of just started to self-tap itself in. So I think we're just gonna try to run that. But first I'm gonna try to seam seal all the edges. I got polyurethane sealer, so we're gonna put a little bit of that
And then I might try to seal up some of the other seams down here that are a little lacking. So yeah, I'm gonna get to that. So this is the one I got just from Amazon, seam sealer polyurethane adhesive. Let's see what the directions are. Pierce the seal at the cartridge outlet, install the nozzle, remove the metal seal at the base, insert into caulking gun, trim nozzle to your desired bead size, apply seam sealer and tool 30 minutes before painting it, 24 hours, scuff the surface to prepare for painting. I probably won't be painting it after 24 hours because who's going to be looking under there? Eventually, I do want to do a really nice job and redo all this once I get like a welder and stuff. Let me see if I have the right caulking gun though. This is a lot smaller than I thought it was. So it turns out I do have the right caulking gun. As you can see, this one's had its fair share of use. So I'm supposed to break that seal, pierce the seal at cartridge outlet. How am I supposed to get that out? Here, I'll use the end of one of these rivets maybe. Nah, how are you supposed to? Maybe I'm missing something. Where's the nozzle? Right here. No, there's no like pin in there. I guess I'm just supposed to kind of like break this. All right, I'm gonna figure this out. 1 second. All right, so I got a pretty nice bead all around. Very messy, but what I'm gonna do now is gonna take just my finger with one of the gloves that was provided with the sealant. I'm just gonna kind of push it into all the cracks here. My finger, just to get a nice seal on everything around. Oops, I got a little on the brake line. Oh well. Looks pretty good. I think that'll do for now. And I'm well aware that there's proper tools for spreading it, but finger does a perfect job. I mean, like, no one's gonna argue with that, let's be honest. But now I'm gonna try to put the bracket back on. I'm gonna slide some sleeves over the brake lines first. I don't know if you saw the last video, but I had like little rubber things. But what I did now is I just took some old wire, slit the whole side, took the actual wire out and just kept the sleeve, slid them over. So the lines are perfectly covered now. I'm not worried about them at all. All right, I'm gonna grab the bracket. I'm gonna clean my hand up a little bit before this dries and try to get that on. So I just realized with the screw in here, not enough length. I'm gonna have to trim this back a little bit. All right, I just trimmed them back with some tin snips, so we'll see what happens here. Whoops. All right, so I kind of had a feeling that would happen. Basically, it threaded in too much and now it's like skipping, so it's kind of sagging a bit. But honestly, it doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna figure out a better fix for that. But in the meantime, not too bad. Not too bad. There's a little bit of slack there from the vent line that I need to pull through, but it's not terrible. Definitely not terrible. All right, I think I thought of a solution here. So obviously I'm not gonna be able to get a nut on top, so I'm not gonna be able to tighten it, unfortunately. But I think if I get those riv nuts, I could put the riv nut onto the aluminum plate and that should work pretty well. I don't see why that would be a bad idea, honestly. I think that'd work perfectly for this application. You can kind of see the vision here. Those ones worked perfectly fine. This one was all rusty, so I added this plate. Not bad. Obviously not permanent. I'm gonna be re-welding this eventually. Not for a while, unfortunately, but not too bad, I'd say. On to the next thing. All right, next thing on the agenda, we're gonna replace the battery terminal things because this one snapped for some reason. I'm gonna just replace both of them because this one's kind of in the same condition, to be honest. Can we wiggle it off? I barely loosened it here. Let me take a little bit more off. There we go. Out with the old,
That's where it cracked right there. All right, let's inspect the wires. Look fine. Let me take the new one out real quick. I hate this type of packaging. I always end up cutting myself. I'm just gonna grab the tin snips here. Oh yeah, one-handed. Perfect. Let's compare it. Slightly, the bolts are kind of slightly bigger. I'm not too worried about that, as long as that's the same. Let's see. Should be fine. Let's make sure that none of these are all bent up. I'm gonna loosen these a little bit. Maybe I can do it by hand. Yeah. Now we just tighten these up. Well, tightened it, and there's still a lot of play. That's unfortunate. I thought these were gonna work. Well, let me experiment. Tried to bend it so it tightened more, but it still slid out, and you can't have any play with this kind of stuff because I mean that generates like heat and stuff, and you lose amps like that. So I'm just gonna try to get a different one. I don't know why they would have sold me that, even though it doesn't work. I bought 2 of them, unfortunately. I'm gonna try to return one. All right, I guess I'm gonna run to the store to get the right one. All right, I think we got the right one this time. I guess we'll just throw this on real quick. All right, that's way better. We're just gonna leave it off for now. Next thing we're gonna do is I picked up one of these riv nut guns from Harbor Freight for like, I don't know, it was probably like 20 bucks. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a riv nut where I put that bracket, and then hopefully that allows me to mount it a lot easier and stronger, because I know that bolt's gonna fall out, so hopefully this is a lot better. I believe this is the 1/4. The 1/4 should be fine. I picked up some assorted bolts and some washers. I'm gonna put one of the lock washers on it so it doesn't come out, hopefully. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this one off. Yeah, I can definitely do it with my finger. Oh, yep, just fell out. And then I assume we're gonna have to bore out the hole in my plate a little bit more. It's been a whole 24 hours since I put the sealant on, so I want to touch it. I don't think I should though. Oh, nice. It is completely solid. That is actually very nice. Let me just make sure there's a nice seal around the whole thing. Nice. You can see it kind of sealed to one. I think it's, yeah, the vent line. That's all right. Just pull that off. Yeah, it feels like there's a very nice seal around the entire thing. So that is good news. I might actually go ahead and put some of the sealant on some of the other seams under the car, but it seems like this stuff's pretty good. Definitely did a nice seal. These are the riv nuts we'll be using. Let me just open these real quick. Now these should be 1/4. Let me just open these up real quick. There we go. Yeah, I'll probably end up using one like this. Let's see. Just make sure it threads in. Oh yeah, that threads in nicely. Let's see how much more we're gonna have to drill out that hole. Yeah, that one seems a little small. This one actually looks right. Yeah, that actually looks perfect. So if I'm not mistaken, you just thread these on. Just like that. Or actually it would be the opposite. Thread it on like this. And then you put it into the hole, and then you just pump it like a normal rivet gun, and then you unscrew it with this, I believe. I don't know if we should do a test run. Probably just gonna run it. I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't fit into the hole I already drilled.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
All right, so real quick, I'm just gonna pull out my drill and bore that hole out.
All right, I got it drilled out. Really quickly, I'm just gonna use one of these deburring tools. Recently just picked it up. I'm gonna go around the edges here just to make sure we get like a smooth seal when we put in the riv nut. Yeah, looks pretty good. The piece, nice. That is very nice. All right,
Let's just put this on.
let me set up the camera real quick. I'm gonna use my tripod right here. Let's see here, what's the best angle? You know what, we're just gonna put the camera on the ground. And we're just gonna put the tool, insert it here. All right, I think that might be good. Now we just unscrew this fully. Not very easy to unscrew. All right, I think that's good.
Really quickly before I screw it back on, I think I'm just gonna flatten out these bumps here, just so that sits more flush with it. And then I'm also gonna, I had forgot to create the little sleeves for the brake line, so I'm also gonna do that right now. So I'll show the process of how I do that. It's actually very easy if you want to use my method. Basically, I found this old cable in my garage. I don't even know what it is. Isn't it like coax or something? Yeah, it's like satellite cable, so probably coax. And take my snips. You could just use snips or like anything really. These ones I'm gonna make a little longer, so I'm gonna cut it about here. Then I'm just gonna cut this in half. So where it's about right here. Boom. Now that you got that in half, you're gonna take a razor or just sort of knife. Any knife would probably work, just as should be kind of sharp. And you're just gonna go all the way along the edge, just cut the casing open, kinda. Then once you got that, should have a nice cut. Doesn't really have to be straight. And then you can kind of open it up, take the actual wire out, and you can scrap this, do anything with it. But you should have a nice empty, just kind of casing. And I'm just gonna do that to this one real quick.
Then once you got however many you want, come over to where the bracket's gonna be. So I'm just gonna kind of line them up with this hole here. You're just gonna slide them over. It's gonna be pretty hard for me to do this one hand, but we'll get it. Slide them over, so there's one. And then if you want to, what I did on one of them is I put zip ties on like the ends on either side of the bracket, but you probably don't need to for like this instance because they're not gonna be really moving around unless you think they are. I do not think they will be moving around personally. And then they should look something like this. Just kind of angle them in a way where the opening doesn't really like rub on anything. I'm not too worried about it. These ones I don't really have a spot for on the bracket. They're just gonna be sitting up there, so not too worried about that. They're gonna be like behind the vent line like that. And then the send line's actually in the middle.
Now I'm just gonna trim those ears off the bracket I made. We'll just use the tin snips. These should be perfectly fine for that.
All right, so I just went ahead and put it on. I ended up just snipping the edges a little bit. I put the nut or the screw on with the crush washer, so hopefully it doesn't come off. It flexes a little bit down. Not too worried about that. I'm definitely going to be monitoring it to make sure that this doesn't back out. And then I might replace this with like some sort of nut with a hex or something, just so I can get it a little tighter. Because with the Phillips head, it's kind of hard to get tight because, you know, I'm not trying to strip this bolt. So, but other than that, I mean, it's not bad. For sure not bad. There's a little bit of slack in the vent line right here. I might try to pull through, but just about done with this, I think. Pretty nice. Oh, I forgot about the zip tie. I might as well just leave it there, I guess. Definitely not bad. I definitely want to look into making this one mount a little bit higher. So to do that, I would just have to kind of do the same thing I did here with the, like, just the flat end like that. Because you can see the bolt mounts on like the top end of the aluminum tubing. So I could raise it about an inch if I did that. So it's just something to take note, I guess. That's the first bracket. Looks, in my opinion, it kind of hangs low. And if I'm going to be lowering this, then definitely something I want to be looking out for. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the jack stands to the front again because there's something I want to check for, some oil leaks and stuff. Actually, let me check the oil. I haven't checked the oil since I ran it after I put the fuel lines on. So yeah, definitely looks a little dark. And I'm not surprised though. When I got this, it was pretty low on oil and it was extremely dark. So I put some pretty good oil in there. And I assumed I was gonna have to do like 2 oil changes in like the first few hundred miles, because obviously it's gonna break down all the built up carbon and stuff inside the engine. So honestly, I'm not surprised about that at all. The level looked decent, so I'm just gonna move the stands to the front and then I'm gonna check for leaks. I just wanna quickly show how bad this fitment is. The fender and the hood honestly don't align too bad, but both the headlights, I don't have the grill on, but both the headlights sag like crazy. And honestly, the hood is like too far on this side. It's actually really nice on this side, but it's unfortunate. But this thing's gonna be sitting right when I really want to fix that. It actually annoys me so much. Like the headlight sits under the bumper here, or behind, I guess. Oh, it's just so annoying. I need a fender though, so if you got a fender, let me know. Need the 99 to 2001. Then honestly, I need both fenders, so if you got that, hit me up. I think that's gonna do it for this video actually. In the next one, we're gonna be mounting these this is like a transmission engine stiffener plate, and then this is like a flywheel inspection plate. For some reason, those weren't included when I bought the car, so we got the pieces now, so hopefully these work out. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for now. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.